Invincible Season 4 is easily one of the strongest entries in the entire series so far. And I'm saying that as someone who's read the comics. Because yeah, the story gets bigger later, but this season, it's the first time the adaptation actually feels like it fully understands what Invincible is supposed to be. The tone is darker, the pacing is tighter, and the violence is way more intentional. Not just shock value, actual consequences. And you feel that immediately in Mark Grayson's character. Mark is not the same guy anymore. Every fight feels heavier. Every win feels like it costs something. And Steven Yeun's voice acting is carrying that perfectly. You can literally hear exhaustion in his delivery.
So I don't get to be tired, or take a night off.
Not just anger, not just hero stuff, actual fatigue. Like bro is one bad day away from mentally disconnecting from reality. Now, animation-wise, Season 4 is better overall, but not flawless. Some fight scenes still feel stiff, especially wide shots where characters move like action figures instead of living fighters. But when it's good, it's some of the best animated brutality in the show. Hits land harder, blood feels more impactful, and the camera actually lets moments breathe instead of cutting instantly. That matters in Invincible, because the violence is the point. It's not just cool fights anymore, it's damage tracking. And that brings us into episode 4, HURM. Now people are mad about this episode. A lot of fans are calling it filler, and I get why. In an 8-episode season, a full 50-minute slow-burn detective episode feels like a weird detour. But if you know the comics, you understand what this is doing. This is tension building. This is the calm before everything gets worse. And the focus on Damien Darkblood makes it even more controversial. Because he's not a main action character, he's an investigation character. So the pacing shifts completely. Less fighting, more questioning, more atmosphere. And yeah, if you wanted constant bloodshed, you probably sat there confused. But this episode is basically setting up the psychological side of what's coming later. And Invincible needs that balance. Because if everything is non-stop violence, nothing hits anymore. Now let's talk about Oliver. Because Season 4 is not kind to him. Oliver Grayson has become the perfect example of confidence versus reality. He talks like he's already a top-tier fighter in the universe, like he's been through it all and came out on top. But the show keeps reminding you that's not true. Every time Oliver starts talking big, something immediately humbles him. And the fandom is absolutely destroying him for it. Because bro is still living off one good moment from earlier fights. One clean hit, one solid moment. And suddenly, he thinks he's that guy. No. This is the same Oliver who has gotten folded multiple times and still comes back acting like nothing happened. And the worst part is the confidence never stops. It's like watching someone get up after slipping on ice and saying, "I meant to do that," every single time. Even in Season 4 fights, he tries to step up like he's ready for real combat. And the universe keeps responding with, "No, you're not." It's comedy at this point. Now, let's talk about Mark again, because this ties in. Mark is evolving into someone who understands limits. Oliver is still figuring out that limits exist. That contrast is intentional, and it makes Mark feel even more experienced this season. Now we have to talk about Thragg energy in this season. Because even when he's not physically present all the time, Thragg is basically the fear shadow over everything. Every serious fight in Season 4 feels like it's building towards something bigger. And every time his name or presence is implied, the tone shifts instantly. Because everyone knows what he represents. Not just strength, but dominance at a level nobody is ready for. Now let's go back to animation critique. Because even though Season 4 improves a lot, there are still moments where impact doesn't fully land. Punches sometimes feel weightless in mid-air exchanges, and certain character movements still lack fluidity. But the show compensates with framing and brutality. When it matters, it hits hard. And that's why the season still works, because it knows when to slow down and when to explode. One thing Season 4 absolutely nails that people don't talk about enough is character design and visual identity. Because Invincible used to have that clean but slightly flat superhero look, Season 4 changes that. Characters feel more worn in now. Armor has scratches that stay. Faces feel more expressive in motion. Even background characters look like they actually exist in the world instead of just filling space. And when fights happen, you can actually tell who is who instantly. That sounds basic, but in chaotic Invincible fights, it matters a lot. Because when everything is moving at once, design clarity is what keeps the scene readable. And this season is way better at that, especially in Viltrumite-heavy scenes. You can instantly tell power levels just from posture alone. Like, Mark still fights with a slightly defensive stance. Nolan feels more controlled and grounded. And then you've got higher-tier threats like Thragg's presence being communicated through pure stillness and dominance. No flashy movement needed, just presence. And that's where the show gets really good this season. It understands that intimidation doesn't always come from action. Sometimes it comes from how a character just stands there. Now, going back to fights again, Season 4 also leans way harder into impact framing, meaning instead of showing every punch cleanly, it sometimes cuts or distorts timing to make hits feel heavier. That's why even the slightly stiff animation moments don't always hurt the experience, because when the show wants impact, it actually commits. Blood splatter timing is better, sound design is more aggressive, and silence is used way more effectively. Like, there are moments where a punch lands and everything just drops out for half a second. No music, no dialogue, just damage. That's peak Invincible style. Now let's talk about Mark again, because Season 4 is basically redefining how he exists in fights. He's no longer the young hero learning mid-battle type. He's the, I know exactly how bad this is going to get, and I'm still here type. That shift changes everything. Even when he wins, it doesn't feel clean. It feels like he barely survived the outcome. And that ties back into why Oliver's behavior feels so noticeable. Because Oliver still fights like consequences are optional. Mark fights like consequences are guaranteed. And that contrast is why Oliver keeps getting memed on. He's not pacing with reality yet. He's still in the I can talk my way into power phase. And Invincible's universe does not respect that mindset. Now, zooming out a bit, Season 4 overall feels like the show leveling up its presentation layer. Better framing, better design consistency, better emotional staging. Even when the animation dips slightly in stiffness, the direction keeps it from falling apart. And that's important, because Invincible isn't trying to be pretty. It's trying to feel violent, heavy, and emotionally exhausting. And Season 4 gets closer than ever to that identity. Not perfect, but more confident in what it is. And honestly, that's what makes it stand out. It's not just bigger fights, it's better control of chaos. And that's why people are calling it the best season so far. Because everything finally feels like it's building towards something unavoidable.